So I love Hamish Macbeth. It's the police detective. He does the policeman. He doesn't be constable. He does not want to be promoted. He wants to stay in this little town with his stinky old dog and his feral cat, and just be with these lovely people. And we walk around house to house and get tea and scones with them. Little B, Chris Cleve. And I believe in your copy it might be, I think I have a typo, it's C-L-E-A-V-E, not E-E. So I apologize for that. Man, this is a hard book to read. It's a wonderful book. Basically, it's about a Nigerian teen who comes to England. There's a mystery. What is she doing in England? Who is she looking for? It is very violent. And it is sad. There's also a little bit of humor, but it is not as funny as the cover would let you believe. Basically, it's how a British couple changed this Nigerian teen's life and how she changed theirs. The last line is amazing. I had to go back and read the last line over and over because is it really how that is? Is it? Again, my book group read it, and there was a lot of discussion over how it really ends. So it's kind of an interesting read. And I think if you have not read it, there's some gruesome passages. The one thing I like about reading is that when you know something is more than you want to start, you just turn the page. You just keep moving on, and you got the gist of the idea. You can just keep going. Nigeria in the 1990s, not always a safe place. Oh, like it is today. I don't know. Neil Gaiman, I love Neil Gaiman. The Graveyard Book. This is written for probably, this won the Newbery Award, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. So early adolescence, maybe. This is a ghost story. It takes place in a graveyard. It's delightful. There is a child, a living child, who crawls into this graveyard in the middle of the night while his parents are being murdered in their home. And the murderers are looking for this child, but the child gets into this graveyard, and the child cannot walk yet. The child is raised by ghosts and vampires. And it's great, and it's a terrific read, and it won the Newbery Award last year, I believe. So it is a great book, and I love Neil Gaiman. He's kind of quirky, kind of strange. All of his books, he wrote Coraline, also, you know, the book, or the movie. The book is better, of course. He's written picture books, not for young children. He's got a very interesting sensibility.
So is he mostly a writer for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade?
And adults. And adults. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, this is great. Yeah.
Does those other stuff go to that? If a 6th grader would read it, they should get it?
Oh yeah. Well, 6th grader will get this. Oh,
and his other stuff?
His other stuff, well, there are things that is written for adults that you wouldn't read. But his other children's stuff, Coraline, they will love Coraline. This is a very interesting message, and I think that has been made into a movie, animated film.
High schoolers like him too. If they start reading them, they keep reading them a long time.
Good. No, I think he's terrific. I love his writing style. His picture books are interesting too. There's a lot going on, and I wouldn't give them to very young children. Well, it's like fairy tales. You don't give the German fairy tales to young children. Give them the English ones, the Three Little Pigs, Jack and the Beanstalk. That they can handle. Hansel and Gretel, not for young children. Child abandonment with witches, I don't think so. That was not their intent. That's another lecture. The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton. This is an interesting new book. It starts out as a 1913, a little girl arrives in Brisbane, Australia, and is taken in by a dock master and his wife. She doesn't know her name, and the only clue to her identity excuse me, is a book of fairy tales tucked inside a white suitcase. When the girl, called Nell, grows up and starts to piece together bits of her story, and just as she's on the verge of going to England to trace the mystery to its source, Her granddaughter, Cassandra, and of course Cassandra's a lovely name and means a lot, is left in her care. When Nell dies, Cassandra finds herself the owner of a cottage in Cornwall and makes the journey to England to finally solve the puzzle of Nell's origins. Shifting back and forth over a span of nearly 100 years, this is a sprawling, old-fashioned novel, as well cushioned as a Victorian country house, replete with family secrets, stories within stories, even a maze of Dickensian rag and bone shop. All pieces don't quite mesh, but it's a satisfying read overall, just the thing for readers who like multi-generation sagas with a touch of mystery. And the name of that is The Forgotten Garden, The Secret Garden, by Frances Hodgson Burnett is also a character in this book and plays a part. So if you loved The Secret Garden as a child, you're going to like this as an adult. Ireland and Iran, these are together for an interesting reason. This is another food book. So, you know, when I was asked to pick my favorite books, well, this is one of my favorite books. I've been talking about this book for years. It is lovely, it has recipes, it has complex characters. It's about 3 Iranian sisters in Ireland in the 1970s. They are beautiful strangers and they bring exotic recipes to the town in this, it's sort of a foodie lit book. There's a whole genre of foodie lit books now, and I guess I've mentioned a few of them. This Irish hamlet is an unlikely new home for these 3 Iranian sisters in their new Babylon cafe. There's a 27-year-old, she's the most skilled in the kitchen, a tentative middle sister, and the youngest sister is a teenager. They fled the Iranian Revolution, and after some years in London, they arrived determined to succeed. The native Irish, of course, are very wary at the beginning, and there are people who don't like them at all. And there's a friendly priest trying to bring them into town. There's a town bully who keeps talking about the fecking foreigners. You gotta love the Irish in their fecking. There are gossips who think they're all sluts and would do anything to drive the sisters away. As the author cements alliances through recipes, the oldest daughter cements alliances through recipes, and the youngest falls in love with the bully's son, the middle child continues to be troubled by the violence in her past. Can the provincial Irish welcome the foreigners? Will the sisters triumph? But of course. Sometimes it gets kind of laden, some of the prose gets kind of stodgy and predictable. But if you like chocolate or water from chocolate or any of my other food books, you're going to love this one. And it comes with 13 recipes, including one for pomegranate soup. There's also another one. The second one is called Rosewater and Soda Bread. It's a continuing story of these 3 sisters. Both of them are delightful reads, and I quite enjoyed those. So enjoy that. Persepolis is another graphic novel, and this takes place in Iran. I put it under pomegranate soup because it sort of fit together. It's a poignant coming-of-age story of a precocious and outspoken young Iranian girl that begins through the Islamic Revolution. Again, it's black and white graphic novel, and it's an easy read. If you have never read a graphic novel and you're sort of put off by the whole comic book aspect, this is a good book to read. Also, David Small's Stitches, which takes place, of course, in Detroit, so we can't do that in our world. But this is a good one to read, and there's a lot going on in graphic novels. France, The Elegance of the Hedgehog. I love this book. There it is. Thank you, Muriel Barwick. And the translation is stunning. I had to linger over this book because it was, they seemed to be packed with so many beautiful phrases. I just couldn't believe that this person was just putting these words together in a sentence, and they were just stunningly, shockingly beautiful, and I was jealous as all get out. It took me a long time to read it because I kept reading it over and over again. I invite you to take your time when you read this. This takes place in the center of Paris. And if you're going to go to France, you might as well go to Paris. It takes place in an elegant apartment building inhabited by many bourgeois families, middle-class families. Renee, the concierge, is excuse me, witness to the lavish but vacuous lives of her numerous employers. Outwardly, she conforms to every stereotype of a concierge. She's fat, contentious, addicted to television, and yet, unbeknownst to her employers, Renee is a cultured autodidact who adores art, philosophy, music, and Japanese culture. With humor and intelligence, she scrutinizes the lives of the building's tenants, who for their part are barely aware of her existence. So it's a very interesting view of this employment. But then, also in this book, there's Paloma, who's a 12-year-old genius. She is the daughter of a tedious parliamentarian. She's talented and startlingly lucid. And she's decided to end her life on the 16th of June, her 13th birthday. Until then, she will continue to behaving as everyone expects her to behave. A mediocre preteen high on adolescent subculture, a good but not outstanding student, an obedient and obstinate daughter. Paloma and Renee hide both their true talents and their finest qualities from a world they suspect cannot or will not appreciate them. They discover their kindred souls when a wealthy Japanese man arrives in the building. Only he is able to gain Paloma's trust and to see through Renee's time-worn disguise to the secret that haunts her. This is a moving, funny, triumphant novel that exalts the quiet victories of the inconspicuous among us. And again, oh my God, I underline so much. This is the library copy, so this is not mine. I don't want to do Palomas. One of the men come and says, "How come the garbage smells all the way out into the courtyard?" That Bernard Relier and the heiress of the Banque de France family could both speak in so colloquial a manner and yet be preoccupied by the same trivial things that sheds a new light onto humanity. Where the cinema is concerned, however, my eclecticism is in full flower. I like American blockbusters and art house films. In fact, for a long time, I preferred to watch entertaining British or American films, with the exception of a few serious works that I reserve for my aesthetic sensibilities, since my passionate or empathetic sensibilities were exclusively focused on entertainment. Take today, for example. I quiver with impatience at the thought of the treat I have in store, the fruit of exemplary patience, the long-deferred satisfaction of my desire to see, once again, a film I saw for the first time at Christmas in 1989. So it goes back and forth between the chapters. It's really good.
What was the film?
I don't know what the film is.
Okay.
It doesn't say there. If they had mentioned, I would have told you. But this is a beautiful book and beautifully translated. And then she wrote a second book about the same house with the same characters. Don't bother. Don't bother. It's not very good. It's nothing like this. I tend to have opinions. Let's go to Italy. Donna Leone. Again, more mysteries. Venice is a character. Now this is about Guido Brunetti. He is the vice commander of police, and he's a very interesting detective. There are a series of these detective books, and they all take place in Venice, and Brunetti is the one in charge of the cases, usually, but Venice is beautifully depicted in this book. Because this was Venice, the police came by boat, blue light flashing on the forward cabin. They pulled up at the side of the small canal behind the theater, and 4 men got out, 3 in blue uniform and 1 in civilian clothes. Quickly they walked up the Cal or narrow street alongside the theater and continued through the stage entrance, where the portiere, who had been warned of their arrival, pushed the button that released the turnstile and allowed them to walk freely into the backstage area. There's been a murder at the Opera House. to conduct it.